Welcome to Episode 45, Business Continuity and Disaster Recovery Proofs for I1, where we explain how preparation and evidence make resilience believable. Continuity underpins assurance because no safeguard matters if core services cannot survive disruption and return to a trustworthy state. Plans that only exist on paper create false comfort, while tested procedures with recorded outcomes create confidence. Think about a payment system. Backups without restores are promises without proof, and a call tree without confirmations is a list, not a lifeline. A continuity program blends people, process, technology, and clear ownership so each dependency has a recovery path. It also defines what good enough to reopen means before stress arrives. With that structure, teams make calm decisions, auditors see reliable artifacts, and customers experience shorter, safer interruptions rather than long, uncertain outages. Recovery objectives translate business tolerance into technical targets. Recovery Point Objective, RPO, defines how much data you can afford to lose, and Recovery Time Objective, RTO, defines how long you can afford to wait. These numbers guide backup frequency, replication design, and staffing for after-hours response. A clinic that can tolerate 1 hour of record loss sets a different RPO than a lab that cannot lose a single test result. Objectives must be realistic, funded, and visible to teams that implement them. They also need periodic review as products, volumes, and regulations change. When disagreements surface, decide early. Vague goals cause brittle designs. Clear RPO and RTO convert vague hope into measurable engineering choices and create the yardstick for later testing. Dependency mapping and critical process identification make recovery practical. Start with business services people recognize, appointments, claims, orders, and link each to the applications, databases, identities, networks, and vendors that enable them. This map shows which systems must return first and which can wait. It reveals hidden ties, like a reporting job that locks a database or an email service required for password resets. Assign owners for each dependency so gaps have a name, not an echo. Keep maps concise, current, and stored where responders can reach them during an outage. Review them when architecture changes or when incidents expose unknown links. The result is a prioritized plan that restores what matters in the right order. Without this clarity, teams chase symptoms, overload networks, and extend downtime for everyone. A sound backup strategy turns objectives into repeatable protection. Define what is backed up, how often, where copies live, and how long they are kept. Choose full, differential, or incremental patterns that meet your RPO without overwhelming storage or networks. Capture configuration and infrastructure definitions alongside data so rebuilt systems behave as intended. Include databases, file stores, virtual machines, and key platform states like access policies and certificates. Document service level targets for backup completion and alert on failures or slow jobs. Separate roles for requesting restores and approving them, especially for sensitive sets. Track coverage with dashboards that report success rates and age of last good copy. Backups are not a single product. They are a discipline that keeps pace with change, or else they quietly fall behind. Immutable copies and offline options reduce the chance that the same event that harms production will poison recovery. Immutable storage prevents modification or deletion within a fixed window, resisting ransomware and accidental cleanup. Offline or logically isolated copies break the blast radius by removing direct control paths from compromised accounts. Test the path to these copies so access works under stress without weakening isolation. Keep retention windows aligned to detection realities. If threats hide for weeks, short windows may be useless. Label which datasets require immutability and which can rely on standard protections. Record proof that immutability is active, not just configured once. The combination of write-once controls and isolation buys time to investigate. Choose the safest restore point and rebuild with confidence. Encryption, keys, and access controls must follow backups everywhere they go. Encrypt data at rest and in transit during backup and restore flows, and ensure the decryption path is preserved during emergencies. Store keys in managed services or hardware-backed modules with clear roles for creation, rotation, and use. Limit who can request data from backup platforms and require strong authentication with just-in-time elevation for restores. Keep audit logs for read and restore actions with timestamps and requesters. Test recovery with keys unavailable to prove procedures for key loss and recovery. Avoid embedding secrets in backup jobs or scripts. Pull them securely at runtime. When encryption and access move with the data, backups remain assets rather than liabilities, and restorations do not create new exposures. Restoration testing cadence and criteria convert hope into proof. Schedule regular tests that vary by scope. Single file, single system, multi-system sequence, and full process rehearsal for a critical service. Define pass criteria before the test, such as time to first successful login, data integrity checks, and transaction completion. Record start and end times, steps taken, issues found, and fixes made. Then store results where auditors and responders can find them. Rotate who performs restores so knowledge spreads beyond one specialist. Include unannounced spot checks that simulate real surprises. Each test should feed improvements to scripts, runbooks, and architecture. Over time, tests become faster and more predictable, turning recovery from an event into a routine. That is the evidence customers and auditors trust. Alternate workarounds and manual procedures keep essential functions moving while systems return. Identify processes that can operate in a reduced mode, paper intake, offline appointment verification, or cached reference data, and write simple step-by-step guides. Limit manual steps to the minimum necessary, and define reconciliation tasks to re-enter data once systems recover. Train staff with short drills so the instructions are muscle memory, not a new burden during stress. Store forms, contact numbers, and instructions in places reachable without network access. Include criteria for switching to manual mode and for switching back, with clear authority for the decision. Workarounds are a bridge, not a parallel system. They should be safe, auditable, and temporary, so risk does not grow in the shadows. Third-party services and shared responsibility require explicit expectations. For each vendor that hosts data, processes transactions, or provides core platforms, document who backs up what, how failover works, and how you will be notified during incidents. Capture the provider's RPO and RTO and compare them to your needs. Gaps need compensating controls or contract updates. Test joint procedures, such as coordinated restore or region failover, and record evidence of success or limits. Track dependencies on provider identity, keys, or certificates that could block recovery. Maintain a contact register with escalation paths, after-hours options, and agreed communication channels. Shared responsibility is not a slogan. It is a checklist of who acts, when, and with which proof. Clarity here prevents finger-pointing when time is critical. Communication plans and contact trees keep people aligned when pressure rises. Define audiences, responders, leadership, staff, customers, regulators, and the cadence for updates. Prepare message templates that explain status, impact, next steps, and expected times without jargon or speculation. Maintain a verified contact tree with alternates and after-hours paths, and test it with periodic check-ins. Use a single source of truth for public updates to avoid conflicting statements. Assign spokespersons and escalation points in advance, and store the plan where it is reachable during outages. Record who was informed and when, then attach those records to the recovery ticket. Calm, timely communication buys patience, reduces duplicate questions, and creates space for technical work to proceed. Evidence closes the loop between intent and operation. Useful proofs include backup job reports, screenshots of immutable settings, restore logs with durations and checksums, ticket timelines, and sign-offs from business owners confirming service readiness. Keep monthly bundles that summarize coverage, failures, fixes, and test results, and store them in a controlled repository with access logs. Automate exports where possible to avoid manual gaps. During reviews, present evidence in the order of the recovery story: objectives, dependencies, backups, restores, validation, and communications. The goal is not volume, but clarity, artifacts that answer what, where, when, who, and with what outcome. When evidence is routine, audits move quickly and teams spend time improving rather than compiling. Improvement tracking and follow-through turn test findings into stronger posture. After each exercise or real event, capture issues, root causes, and small corrective actions with owners and due dates. Prioritize items that reduce time to recover or increase confidence in restore integrity. Track completion in the same system that holds incident records, and review progress in regular governance meetings. Retire temporary exceptions and verify that changes land in runbooks, scripts, and architecture diagrams. Celebrate measurable gains, shorter restore times, higher success rates, clearer instructions, so momentum grows. Improvement is not a quarterly slogan. It is a monthly rhythm that keeps continuity current as systems and teams evolve. Cloud failover patterns and pitfalls deserve sober evaluation. Patterns include active-active across regions, warm standby with pre-provisioned capacity, and pilot light with minimal cores ready to scale. Each trades cost for speed, and each depends on synchronized data, automated infrastructure definitions, and tested cutover steps. Pitfalls include assuming provider defaults meet your RPO, forgetting stateful dependencies like keys or secrets, and neglecting network policies that block traffic in the target. Drift between environments quietly breaks failover. Guardrails and continuous validation reduce this risk. Practice failover at realistic load and measure user experience, not just server metrics. Document reversal steps to return traffic cleanly when primary recovers. In cloud, convenience can hide complexity. Only rehearsal reveals the truth.